This is the Kinks and Beatles Daily Deep Dive. I'm your host, Tony Fry. This is the second episode we're recording tonight because I had to postpone last night's recording. Thank you for joining. If you're following late, make sure you subscribe to Hero Habit. And if you're listening on the audio feed, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can watch these and participate live. This is episode 230, and we're discussing Sleepless Night by the Kinks. Before we get started, I want to let you all know about a bonus episode we're doing March 26th in the morning. It's dedicated, it's a visual bonus, so you're going to need to join us on YouTube. It's dedicated to the album artwork of these two bands and their solo output. We're going to be talking about the best and the worst of it, and there's plenty of each to talk about. This is a premium episode, so the invites only go out to the people who have graciously contributed to the podcast. You can do that at herohabit.com/shop. And, somebody just did as I was talking about it. And when you do that, you'll get an invite to do that bonus episode or to view it later. The invite, you don't have to be present to enjoy that invite. You can watch it after the fact. Everybody else is going to have to wait. It won't go public for a couple months. This is my way of thanking everyone who's keeping the lights on here. And as you can see, compared to our last video, both lights are on now. So like I said, follow us on the YouTube channel, Hero Habit on YouTube, and make that contribution, and I'll send you the invite. Episode 230, Sleepless Night, released February 12th, 1977 on the album Sleepwalker, and June 3rd, 1977 as the UK B-side to Jukebox Music. This is a cool tune. Dave's on lead vocals. He didn't write it. It's a Ray composition, but it's hard to picture Ray singing it because Dave really does a good job at owning it as one of his own songs. He sings it as if he were the composer of it. And one thing that really stands out to me is there's some really incredible keyboard work and guitar work. And I've talked previously about I'm not a huge fan of the production of the entire Sleepwalker album. I think it sounds a little bit dated. It's a little too clean, but that doesn't negate the phenomenal musicianship on this record. And this song really shines there too. And it's a rare occurrence. We don't get a lot of keyboard-driven Kinks songs. And so when you have a great keyboard player in your band, you should highlight him a little bit. And this song definitely did. This whole album, he really shines on it. Recording for the album took place between September 22nd and the 30th, 1976. And at the end of these sessions, the song clocks in at over 7 minutes long. Just like Sleepwalker, which was also recorded during these sessions. And you won't hear me say this often. You didn't hear me say it during Sleepwalker, but I kind of wish they would have edited less of this song. I don't necessarily want to have the whole 7-minute version of the album, but at 3 minutes and 18 seconds, they cut more than half of this, and it's a cool little song, good little mid-tempo rocker. You maybe have a solo or something. It's the way it fades out, it just unceremoniously fades. It's not over a refrain or a chorus or anything. It's just like they're like, all right, we're done, and then they turn down the volume. And it's like, it just is a feeling like it's starting to ramp up. It's done. So, maybe a guitar solo or something. At least give me another minute. But, whatever, what do I know? The song tells the story of a next-door neighbor who used to date the main character of the song, but now he has to hear her, quote, rock with all they got every night with her new boyfriend, and he can't get any sleep because of it. In Dave's book, he jokes that Ray probably would have stayed awake even if the girl didn't live next door, kind of joking about his obsessive nature or something, but it's kind of an interesting story. And even though this is not a concept album, it's kind of interesting to see how Ray still kind of thinks, he composes his songs in clumps. We have Sleepwalker, which is a story about sleepwalking that kind of borders on insomnia with the way the lyrics work. We have this one that's a straight up ode to insomnia. It's interesting. Musically, this track, I think, is stronger than Jukebox Music, which was the A-side to the UK single. And we got 5.5 minutes of that song. So in a lot of ways, it's probably the the preference to have the longer song be the single, but I don't like it. I disagree. They should have done it the other way. It's also something I've never thought about before, and there's not really a lot of connection to even consider this before. But I think with the organ in this song, or the electric piano, I kind of imagine this is how the Doors would have sounded had they been a recording unit in 1976. If you're in the chat, am I way out of line for saying that? If you're familiar with this song and you're familiar with the Doors, am I so far out of line to suggest that this might be how they sounded in 1976 had Jim Morrison been around? There's just something about it, the way it grooves. It's very dark and moody, and it's written in a minor key. I don't know, kind of feels like the Doors to me. Most of the lyrics are pretty average on this tune, which is not a knock. I think they're perfect for this type of song. This is not supposed to be a deep philosophical song. It's just a fun rock song about a guy who can't sleep because he hears his ex-girlfriend knocking boots next door. But there's one great line. Ray, even in his less inspired lyrics, manages to throw in one great line. And this one is, "Nothing hurts people more than other people do." And that's a great Kinks line on a couple levels. On the surface, it's just a great commentary on the human condition and how we treat each other and that kind of thing. But on a little deeper, within the context of the rest of the song, it's about as narcissistic as you can get. Does the character in this song really think that this girl is with somebody else to spite him or to hurt him? She doesn't care. She's moved on. She's over it. It's not even unintentional hurt. There should be no hurt. He needs to move on, right? But the dude can't sleep, so he's concocting this animus from someone who probably doesn't even give him a second thought, right? If she wasn't neighbors with him, she probably wouldn't have thought about him since they split. But he manages to make a global statement all about his perceived slight, right? Nothing hurts people more than people do. Shut up, dude. Get over it. It's an interesting line. I like it. I'm probably reading way too much into it, but that's what I do. That's why you're here listening. The song sticks pretty steady to groove in D minor, and except for the bridge where he sings, "Once I was her lover, it was good to be," he pretty much utilizes chords from either D minor or F major, and those two chords are relative. They share the same key signature. So D minor and F major they pull from the same source. And that bridge is all over the place, though. And if you were to look at it on paper, it'd be hard to predict where the melody could possibly fall. But it sounds cool when they do it. The melody barely hangs on to the chord structure, but it does sound cool. This is one of those tunes I forget about unfairly. Because I'm not a huge fan of the production of Sleepwalker, this is not an album I put on regularly. I'll go and listen to my favorite tracks off of it here and there. Obviously, a lot of the songs on it, I have my playlist of my favorite Kinks songs, and a lot of these songs I will hear individually as they come in and onto that playlist, but I very rarely just pop on Sleepwalker, even though this was the first Kinks LP I ever owned on vinyl. And this is not the greatest Kinks song of all time, and it probably isn't even in my top 50, but it's not a bad song by any stretch, and it's a great track on this album. And I think as I've done the analysis on this album now, we're about halfway through, I think I appreciate the album more than I even did before. It feels like it should rock a little harder, this song in particular. And had it been recorded for low budget, I may have liked it even more, right? A low budget sound quality on this track might have tipped it into my top 50. But that's not to knock it, because I do enjoy quite a bit. And this is, this whole thing, we're nitpicking because we like it already. I asked in the chat over on YouTube, make sure you guys come and participate in that when you can. I asked, should the Kinks have released a longer cut of Sleepless Night? We only got 2 votes because I don't think most people knew tonight's episode was happening. And it's a 50-50 split. So I'm going to break the tie. I think it should have been a bonus feature on one of the CD releases, you know. I don't know. I don't know why they cut it, or why they cut it, where they cut it, more specifically. All right, so that's about all I've got for this song today. It's not much to talk about because, like I said, it's just a really good album track, and I don't think it warrants much more discussion than that. But if you have more discussion on it, please feel free to reach out to me. You can email me, kinksandbeats@herohabit.com. You can call me at 925-494-1739. And, of course, you can find me on every social media platform, whether it's the YouTube comment section, our Facebook group, the Twitter, the subreddit, or our new TikTok. Leave your comments and send out stuff to me. I love reading it. And I also want to let you all know that earlier today I recorded a lengthy podcast for Something Came From Baltimore podcast, talking about my top 10 Kinks songs of all time. So be on the lookout for that one. I will talk to you all later. Take care of yourselves and stay safe.